In a culture so conditioned to covet unconditional commitment, doing something different can seem callous. But just listen. Love means more than can be written in a register. And I reject the supposition that some mystical transubstantiation can conjoin two complete wholenesses as if they were halves. It's not how I see my soul. I am not a constituent part of any entity less than the planet or smaller than the stars. And I decree it is daring not to cleave to the creed of matrimony. And I thank whatever powers might be that on this we completely agree. When there is a storm, some take shelter in the rocks, and whilst that might be wise for them, you and I decided long ago we want to feel the wind. And so, like willow trees, we learned to bend, to let our leaves mingle on the breezes life sends, and when our branches wend their way in reach of each other's domain, we entwine and combine each year's fresh foliage again and again. And yet, it is in our nature to refrain from forming chains. So now, vows for lovers who know how not to smother each other, nor have yet grown apart, and whose hearts have space left to embrace even more. I offer you a pact that I will act my part in the process of progressing our bond, provided that you care, as I do, to carry it on. Not for convenience, that wouldn't last long, and not to see purely what I can get from, nor for security. I'm drawn to what scares me, excited by what can be when I disagree with my own desire to be stifled by safety. And I refuse to use you as a refuge from loneliness. I want to love each other only because we cannot feel anything less until we have loved to the fullest capacity we can carry in our chests, out on our individual journeys, into the wild west of life's lessons and learnings, through the booms and the busts in our emotional earnings. In trust I will trade with you, for that is the truest treasure to those who are worthy of turning to. Whoa, that's heavy. Let's see. I promise to share more times when I can give you my glee. Let us conspire to be childishly happy as often as we can be, alone as well as in each other's company. Let us mind our own misery, that it becomes neither a wall wedged between you and me, nor the other person's perceived responsibility to work us free from. I pledge to carry on with my life, through whatever strife may come, whatever shade and sun, through the times I have to crawl and the times I need to run. And you and I know by now it's not always fun and games, that sometimes things get in the way. Well, hey, tomorrow is always another day. And I most solemnly swear to never break my promises. Wait, that's dishonest. Should it be never make promises? No, that's too easy. Let's see. Can we just agree that promises are hard and common sense says maybe we should stick mostly to baking cakes and eating steak and watching Netflix TV and try not to flake on each other or fake feeling better than we do just to prove something that by definition is obviously not true. And no, I will not prune you unless you give me the shears with steady hands and shaking boots and stand and tell me this is one of those times you really, really need me to. That you can't do this by yourself, that you need the help of someone with a greater stake than you've been able to muster thus far of late in your health. It is my hope that when we hold a mirror to each other, those reflections look much better for having more angles to uncover who we are and who we could be. Because when one of us doubts himself, another voice is there to say, I believe, for I have seen you shine. And maybe our thoughts aren't word perfect all the time. Maybe when they come out of our mouths, they just won't rhyme. Never mind, because I'm excited by the chime of your laughter. I still want to see what comes after this chapter, because I am hooked on this storyline, intrigued by this character, who is ultimately their very own author. And even if I can't claim to be the writer of any destiny together, can't control the vector of this, our narrative endeavor, still I can aim to be the inciter of riotous inspiration within, and not the hectoring heckler who won't get stuck in, or the critic who's too self-conscious to begin their own novel. And even when I internally inhabit the very sparsest of hovels, I swear that though it might be poor, my own house will be in order long before I come to call at your door with any comments or complaints about the decor. Because you blessed me with something worth getting my act together for. And it is amongst the greatest gifts that I could ever procure, that I can choose to confuse all that you represent for an excuse, to do my sums, know the score, pay my rent, maybe not only in metaphor, a ratified reason to have spent time making a dent in the areas where I know I lack development. You present motivation to make myself more. And though I think it's safe to say, I will never want to marry you, that doesn't mean I won't carry you when you call for me. And yes, I will have fights with you when it's necessary, but I will fight your corner to the same degree whenever life gets messy. And even when effectively it will exclude me, I will respect your agency. You can choose to prove and improve yourself as you see fit, either off in your own groove or with my help in it. I want to nurse new projects with you, and new relationships too. And when your heart and dreams are bruised, I hope I can be there to soothe you, just like you console me too. For as long as we both shall want to. I'm not saying never to sever, not forever and ever, but for better and better. Amen. Congratulations, Denny and Helen.
Oh my God. Thank you, Erin.